Hi, this is Jamey with Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanisms in ArchRavels. This one word, ArchRavels, a game about knitting. It's a kind of an order fulfillment knitting game with an engine building aspect to it. It has a few mechanisms, as like a gateway game. It's a maybe gateway plus game. It has a few really interesting mechanisms. I believe, what is a fairly deluxeified copy of it, but one component that I wanted to highlight are these little bowls that you keep your yarn in. Yarn or wooden tokens in the game, but these are beautiful wooden bowls that were just really nice to play with in the game. And kind of a light wood. I need to look into making these in one of our games, or making something like this, because this is just a really nice material, nice fancy component to use in a game. A couple mechanisms that I want to highlight in this game. One, where should I start? I'll start with one of the upgrading systems. Actually, the action selection system. I'll start with that. Very simple action selection system where on your player mat you have 4 different actions to choose from. This is one, that's one, this is one, that's one. On your turn, you choose one of those actions and you execute it, and you put a token there. You have 1 token, and on your next turn, you can't choose the same action twice. This is very similar to the system in Scythe that I used, where you choose an action, then you have to move to a different section of your player mat. Very similar system here, a little simplified, but it works really well. I like that it prevents the player from doing the same thing turn after turn, kind of forces the player into variety, and also it lets other players look at what you've done and see, okay, they just used a turn to gain yarn, and so I have a little bit of time before I need to use yarn because I know they can't do it on their next turn. That's really clever, and also these are a little asymmetric. They're a little bit different for each of the different characters. I believe. I think, is this the same on this? Yeah, this character is the same on each side. I think that the only difference is the art here, but each player mat has a little bit of asymmetry to it, which I think is really nice. Very slight, but it is there. Another thing on these mats, before I move on to I think what my favorite mechanism in the game is, another thing on these mats is a very simple upgrade system that I think was really clever, and I'd like to see it in more order fulfillment style games. At the beginning of the game, you randomize 3 different tokens that look kind of like this. So here is a teddy bear that you're trying to make. And to make this teddy bear, this token says that you need 3 green yarn tokens. However, and so there are a bunch of tokens like this. There are a bunch of teddy bear tokens, each with different colors on them. However, one of the things that you can do in the game is if you make a teddy bear, you have then kind of learned a little bit about how to make teddy bears, and you can spend that teddy bear, you can turn it in to flip over the token. And instead of having a specific color that you need to make future teddy bears, you just need 3 of any one color. It says right there, I don't know if you can see on the screen, but it says 3 of any one color. Very simple upgrade system, taking something specific and then making it a little bit more generic, a little easier to fulfill. Still the same color, but easier to fulfill. Really clever way to add a little bit of progression to an order fulfillment game. And let's talk about my last mechanism. Has to do with what you do with these tokens. Because when I was originally reading the rules, I was like, okay, cool. I'm taking yarn, I'm gaining yarn, and I'm turning them into these little tokens like the teddy bear, which are worth points at the end of the game. Okay, that in itself is perfectly fine. That's kind of standard order fulfillment. Get some resources, turn them into something, and get points from it. However, the game adds another level that's really, this is in many other games, but I think I really admire it in this game for the first time. That not only are you getting, not only can you get these special tokens, but once you do, you can turn them in to fulfill special projects. So for example, here's a project card that might be on the board at any given time. And it says, if you have 3 teddy bears, you can turn them in to get 20 points. So instead of getting the points that are on the teddy bears themselves, I believe it's like 3 or 4 points, you could turn in 3 of them to get 20 points. This one's kind of similar. You can turn in 4 hats to get 20 points. And these vary, they're not all, here's actually a pretty complex one. 37 points for 2 hats, 2 mittens, and 2 scarves. And so it's another level to it. You have these different levels where every level you're getting something good. You're getting yarn, and then you're turning that yarn into these tokens, and then you're turning these tokens into these projects that are public on the board. Multiple levels. Adding that next level to an order fulfillment system made it really satisfying. I was really excited when I saw that in the rulebook. That not only was I knitting this, but I had some sort of focus and an extra sense of completion by getting a certain number of these to turn them in for these projects. So just a really clever order fulfillment game on many different levels. That's ArchRavels. If you played ArchRavels and you have some thoughts, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Or if you can think of any other order fulfillment games that have a system like this or have a very satisfying multi-leveled system. Viticulture obviously is one of them. That's one of our games. But if you can think of any others, I'd love to hear your thoughts about them in the comments below. Thanks.